Okay, so we're on the underside of the motherboard and I'm sitting here fidgeting with this thing trying to get it to stay standing with the heat sinks on. So I'm going to have to take the CPU heatsink off so that you guys can have an unmessed with view of the motherboard without it sitting here wobbling like so. So I might as well seize the opportunity to show you guys this. I'm sure most of you have seen this already. It's been out for a while, but it's the Team Xecuter. Jeez, I just can't remember forward, backward. Team Xecuter Xclamp removal tool. It's really quite handy. Johnny Guns has an awesome video. It's like a damn commercial for this thing. As far as removing these X clamps, they can be kind of a pain in the ass. I know when I first tried removing them, I slipped with the screwdriver and put a gouge across the motherboard with a screwdriver and just screwed the motherboard up. So if any of you have removed them with a screwdriver, a little tiny eyeglass flathead screwdriver, you know what I'm talking about. This thing is awesome. It just sticks right in here, just like so, right inside of the wraparound part of the X clamp, and then you literally just apply some downward pressure to it or lift up on it, and it pops right off. It's really quite a neat little tool. Just ever so slightly, it pops right off. X clamp removed. Just thought I'd show you that. There, now we can get to work on this thing. Okay, I've got the motherboard turned sideways so that I can work on it properly. The QSB we're going to work on now is the Raider QSB. That goes right over here on the motherboard. Here would be your CPU X clamp. This is the power plug right here. GPU X clamp, it goes right here. So we're going to come in tight on here. And we're going down to this row. It's FT6U8 down to FT6U1. This little row right here. And again, we're going to want to go ahead and clean up the area, remove any dust from the area around any of the solder points. I got a nice clean surface to work with. Now, this QSB, this is again going to be another tricky spot where a lot of people are going to make mistakes. So just remember to take your time. You know, don't rush it. Have a decent iron. Use flux and all that jazz. Because you only get one go at this QSB, and then you wreck it. And wrecking things just kind of sucks. It's not any fun. So I got the area all cleaned up. Now there is a sticky pad that goes on the bottom of this, but I just want to set it in here so you can see where it goes and all the different solder points on here. As you can see, we've got this row of solder points right here, all the way along here. Then we got another point that we solder to right here on both sides of this capacitor, right here. And then we got another one right over here that we have to solder to that capacitor. I'm coming a little bit tighter here so you can see it. So the row of solder points. And right here we have to solder to both sides of this capacitor, and right here on this one side of this capacitor. There is another side of the QSB right here, but you're going to leave that alone. Alright, I'm going to get my sticky pad on and get it stuck into place. Alright, we have it stuck down, sticky pad applied. Now we're going to go ahead and apply some flex paste to all these different solder points. It doesn't take a whole lot. I always go a little bit heavy on mine. I figured flex paste is cheap. As long as you do a good cleanup afterwards, it doesn't really matter. This container of flex paste that I'm using now I've had for close to a year. It's almost time for me to throw it out and get some new stuff just because it's old. Okay. Go ahead and solder all these in. Started to dry up a little bit, so I'm going to put a little bit more flex paste on there, clean my iron and hit it again. When you move your iron away and you get a little rooster tail, it means you need to apply a little bit more flux. Got one here I'm not happy with, which is the most important one. So retouch that. Alright, now this one should be fairly easy. That's entirely too much solder there, but it's connected. There we have it. Bottom QSB is installed. Again, remember to clean up all your leftover flux residue. I'm going to do that now, and then we'll get on to the next part. Alright people, our last QSB is going to be this funny looking fella here. This is actually the Xclamp QSB, my pink one that I was whining about. And this one goes right over here next to the GPU heatsink. You can see the radar one is over here, so we're coming right over here. There's a row of solder points right next to a MOSFET there. I'll come in a little tighter so you can see. This is actually right to the side. Right here is the hard drive hookup. Zoom in here. Now, it's going to sit on like this. You'll see you got solder point here, 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 and one more right down here. So it's going to sit right in here with these two solder points right here, going to point 2 and 1 right here. I can come in just a little bit tighter if you like, but you also got to make sure that when you're sticking it down that you align this point and this point, because those are going to be probably the trickier ones to get lined up. See if I can. Alright, now let me get this set in here and then I'll show you what it looks like set in place. As soon as I get my finger out from under it. Okay, so this is kind of roughly set in place here. I gotta straighten it out just a little bit. Alright, now let me show you here so you can see. we got, like I said, solder point here and here and here, one here, and then if you come up the line here, you get another solder point right here. Come in just a little bit tighter. That's all she wrote. So this one lines up to this solder pad, and then you got another one that comes up here to a resistor up top. And it goes to the resistor on the right. You got if you got these pads lined up straight and this one lined up straight, you should have no trouble distinguishing the difference between the two here. You go to the resistor farthest from this regulator right here, and it's the R2, it looks like R2, either R2 R12 or R2 P12. I can't quite read it because I already stuck the pad down. QSB. Now that we have this stuck into place, again, like I said, this is the odd clamp. We're going to go ahead and apply our flex paste. I already cleaned the area for dust and got my sticky pads on there. I'll put just a little bit of extra flex paste on these top points because they're smaller and going to be a little bit harder to work with. And now I need to rotate the board. Alright, now that I got everything all prepped here, and we've actually soldered to these points on the other side already. And again, like I said before, heat the motherboard and the pad evenly. I'm actually applying the new solder to the pad and letting it melt down onto the motherboard. Now I'm soldering right-handed, which is not my forte. And I'm going to rotate the board again so that I can get to this solder point. Put it on more. Now with this one, I'm going to try and apply a little bit of pressure to the tip of the finger while I add the solder. Now these little points right here, you don't want to leave your iron in one place for too long, because those little via points are extremely easy to damage, and a lot of people tend to mess those up. Now, I've already applied the flux to this, but like I said, you go to the second resistor here and it's just going to the one leg. Be very careful not to glob solder on there or remove and float off the resistor. I could see that being done easily. And it's just got to make contact with that one side of the resistor. That looks good. I'm going to come in and heat it up one more time just to guarantee a good connection. Okay, now that's our that would be our odd clamp QSB all installed, my pinky. I'm going to go ahead and clean up all my solder points here, clean up the flux residue, and then we'll be back for the cool runner install, and then we'll finally be doing something with all these QSBs. So give me just a moment.